Hello, lovely people. I'm Shaq, and welcome. Today, we're going to get to those bookshelves for in there. And you can see that the wallpaper, maybe you can see that from here, there's been some changes in there, and we'll get a closer look at that. But before we begin, I'm dealing with a lot of anxiety over, well, I finally got health insurance through the state in the Medicaid program, I believe. Anyway, it's Apple Health. And so I've got an appointment this Friday, and I'm trying not to focus on it, but that's not going well. So, distracted by that. But I decided that I needed to come up with a fidget, and the doll is the best fidget. To have this little character come along with me is actually probably the best soothing thing that I can do for the anxiety. And so he's hanging around so that he can come with me on Friday. I also made a little bit of progress on the wig for the Helen Kish doll. It's a crocheted wig cap, so basically a hat, and then yarn is being added, then it'll get brushed, and it'll end up looking completely different. But I love this orange. This orange is gorgeous. The instructions for doing a similar wig are in the fairy child pattern. The price of the pattern just is so low that with all the stuff that you get in there, you aren't just getting the pattern of the doll and the different tricks and things that I've done with the doll, but there are two methods of putting hair on your doll, wigs, and there is a wing tutorial for making nylon netting wings, and they're my favorite wings. They're my absolute favorite fairy wings because they're flexible and you can get them to stand up or lay down. They're my favorite. If I had figured that out earlier in my life, it would have been on all my dolls from the beginning probably. But it's a favorite. The method in the pattern has you making it shaped on the back side of the wig. The wig cap is shaped, and that's not necessary. It can just be the shape of a hat. Just get it to fit on as a basic hat. But then the rest of it is pretty straightforward in how you attach all this yarn, and then what you do to make it look like the hair you want it to look like. And I always make it a lot longer than what I want it to be finished wise, because the brushing process takes a lot out, and then it leaves you with something that you can trim and change to look like you want it to look. So let's get started on those bookshelves. So I've got all the cardboard pieces pre-cut. I've got a special additional top piece to make it a little different shape to the bookcase, and I haven't done that before, so we'll see how that works out. These are the top and the bottom, and there is going to be the sides and a middle divider, and these are spacers, feet for the bottom, and these are the shelves. This time I'm going to pre-cover everything with the wood grain paper. So I'm just going to glue on a piece of paper over the cardboard to give it the decoration that I want it finished with. So we're going to do that now, and I'm just going to cover everything in this printed paper. All right, I've adjusted the camera so that this project's a little too big for where I usually have the camera sitting. Everything is covered now in paper, and I can't decide if pre-folding these creases made it easier or harder. But like right here, I pre-folded this part and didn't pre-fold this part. So I guess what I'd say, since they aren't matching up really, is that be consistent. If you pre-fold it, do it to all of it. If you don't, just leave everything unprefolded. Anyway, so let's start assembling this. I did transfer my marks. This is the very top. This is a top or bottom. Okay. And I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do to clamp it in place. I'm kind of hoping that it just kind of sticks like the last project a little better, you know? So we're going to get that first piece in here. There was corner clamps available through Micro Mark. And I really wish that I could buy some of those. That it just, I think we have like one set of corner clamps for doing woodwork, so it's too big for this project. But it's like you need 4 of them, and yeah, it's something that I would like to have at some point. Oh dear. Okay, we're just gonna do it. It would have been better to have the glue on the upper part and the lower part rather than on this side piece, I think. But hopefully it just goes in and holds. Okay. Now, that whole thing about keeping it square. I think we're going to do opposite corners. See if that helps. If I don't knock everything apart. Which I think, yeah. Let's see, that does not feel square. Did I knock this one out? I did. Okay, I think we're there. It's really hard not to move it and bump it out of the square. And I don't know if I'm gonna, it's too big for me to get my hands wide enough to use the rubber band. So either I'm gonna have to get someone's help or give up on that thought and just let the glue do its job without the clamping. Now I have lines on the top and the bottom of these boards, so we're going to try and slide right down in that space. And I think it went crooked. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with this and get the shelves in, doing the same thing, going across this way. I took a little lunch break while the paper was setting up after gluing it, and watched the Bad Bunny halftime show. And that was excellent. It's a really good political statement as well as just very entertaining. I think that it would be good if we had a better grasp on our history, that we don't give voting rights to territories. Apparently, I made that a little wide. We're bowing now. Oops. We got a lot of situations with the territories, and when we have more than one, Puerto Rico is not the only territory that the U.S. has, that we don't give them governmental representation, and you know, so they don't get to vote in elections, and it's all just racism, which is quite frustrating. I'm sure even more so for them. Okay, that just slid in there and is not holding anything. Okay, I figured out what I did. The cardstock is sticking out just slightly over the edge of some of these pieces, and that's what was making this, I think, come out way too long. So it's not lining up, you know, it's not able to make contact with the cardboard part on the inside, so I'm just kind of collapsing down the edges. Hopefully that'll work. To just run my thumb along there, take the pieces down. Hopefully not too far. I guess that's the risk you take. I guess I assumed that the cardstock would give way when I pushed it in, and it doesn't exactly. So when I was setting the shelves up for their spacing, I realized that I had some bigger books and that I needed to accommodate that. So I didn't get as many shelves in here as I thought I was going to. But better to have the right spacing for the books that you want to put there, right? I'm almost there. This will have to set up. We'll go over and look in the dollhouse itself while this glue sets up, so we can do the next part. So the anxiety over talking about having an appointment was a more present than I expected it to be. I've been putting off taking care of some issues, having dealt with, like I said, because of the lack of insurance. And so I was actually surprised to, shouldn't have been, but I was surprised to find out that I not only qualified, but that I wasn't going to have to pay for any of it. So yeah, I'm one of those people using the system. And I'm glad it's there. And I'm glad that that Washington State has made a promise to protect it. I think everything's even. All right, we'll go over to the dollhouse now. I added some artwork to the wall. Went for a rather bold frame on the watercolors. And there is the window all finished and the bench seat in with the books on it. And it's actually the magazine collection of Mamselle magazines. And I have, sorry about the wobble, bigger versions, because that's what size the Sindy, the included Sindy books are, and they're bigger than the ones I made that are down there. So yeah, I need to have a shelf for those. And the little bonsai tree was put together by Arthur, and then just delivered in here for me to use and seen. So I think we're all caught up in here. As you can see, I forgot to even mention that, the wallpaper on the wall, I went with a gray wood around the window, and then just continued the wallpaper across the back. And I actually spent the time to put this all together into a single print so that I wasn't having to glue it all up like I did before. And so that's actually just printed that way. I even included the little bit of a shadow circle so that it would look more like the punch outs. And we can go check on our shelf and see if it's ready. So we seem to be dry enough to pick up. So I'm going to put the spacer feet on here. And then we'll put the top on. You know, I can't remember which way I put those. I think they go the other way. That's a mistake, so we're going to just turn it round, eh? Have that problem every so often where I can't remember what it was I had in mind, and I go and I put it together wrong and it doesn't meet the measurements. That's the big problem. I'm trying to keep it even here, and I'm not sure I'm doing a good job. I'm going to do that and then flip it. And this piece goes on here, but I think I was going to put it on, but I think I'm going to wait until I've got the back on, because I'm realizing I need to make sure the back is covered. So flip it over like this and apply glue on all the edges, and then hope it all fits. Here again, we've got a little bit, well, just keep going. Feels like the edges aren't even. I mean, like the cardboard's not sticking out as far as the cardstock, or maybe it's just that the interior of the cardboard is doing what the interior of the cardboard does, and that's down lower than the edges. I'm gonna have to let go when I go to glue the other side here. Realized I'm holding everything steady because it tends to slide along the work surface as you're putting the glue on. I don't know why it follows the glue bottle. Let's see. Okay, I did draw myself a little line here to give me a reference. And now I'm going to just stick weight on it. I think I'm going to get some books over here. We are not completely covering the sides, but I am going to take some strips of paper. Once I've got this kind of set up, and the strips of paper are going to go over the edge and kind of pull the back in so that it's a little more secure. But I think I'll make sure that we're even down here. This book is not very heavy. Just threw it up there with the rest. That one is actually heavy. I think I'm gonna get better coverage with the bigger book. And then do that. There. Okay, it's mostly stuck. So I'm gonna turn it up. And I'm a little frustrated there. I added glue, but it's not sticking. So we're going to put on these strips of paper over the edge here. And here's where I kind of wish that I had put this flush with the edge. Hopefully these are wide enough. I am now having my doubt that it's not wide enough. So after everything's pretty much set up, I'll go over the whole thing with Mod Podge. I'm looking for my scissors to correct the color. It'll make it all the same color because you know if we're the Mod Podge, yeah. Okay, we're gonna need glue down there. Of course, I put more glue than I needed. And I will just continue this around the whole edge where I will wrap it over and glue it on the other side too. And we'll just continue. I do need to put the top on before I go any further though. I got that good and stuck. Forgot about that. And I need the glue for that. I may regret that. I didn't test it to see where it needed to go. Oh well, glue is here now. Come on. And I'll have to pull that in. Okay. Interesting. Whoops. Well, that was a bad choice. Try again. I was wanting to check. This is sticking out, so I didn't have the front corner here far enough forward. Okay, I've got it side to side pretty close. Check. Okay, I think that's good. Now I can continue on around with that paper, and I'll pull this together with the piece of paper. Here it is sitting in place. I still have to do the Mod Podge coating over the entire thing, but it's time to wrap this up for today. So I hope you have a delightful day and a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.